It's a tale as old as time. You build up a great nest egg, plan your income, budget, and finally retire in your 60s. Retirement, it's great. You have a few million saved, but right around 68 to 70 years old, you suddenly realize that you'll soon have to start taking RMDs. And you do the math and you realize that that $1 million IRA is going to cost you around $40,000 a year in required minimum distributions. All of a sudden, you're facing a giant tax bill, extra Medicare surcharges, and it doesn't slow down. The RMDs grow each year, and this all just becomes a growing headache. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can get ahead of this headache and plan for required minimum distributions. Hi, my name is Chris Sobolski, and I help people like you retire with dignity, purpose, and your eyes set on the future. Now, here's where it all starts. When you turn 73 or 75 in 2033, the IRS mandates that you take withdrawal from your traditional IRA or traditional 401ks and accounts like that, 403bs. This is called a required minimum distribution or RMD, and it is required. The amount that you must withdraw isn't fixed. It depends on two things. First, your age, and then two, the size of your account on December 31st of the previous year. As you get older, and if your IRA balance grows, the percentage the IRS forces you to withdraw goes up by about 0.2% every year. So year one, it's 3.7%. Then year two, it's 3.9%, and so on and so forth. Now, most people, when they go into retirement, tend to expect that their income and spending is going to decline. But if you built a big enough IRA and it performs well enough in the market, you may have your taxable income actually going up each year. Here's the part that catches a lot of people off guard. Even after you start taking RMDs, your IRA can actually keep growing. Why? Well, let's say your investments are growing at 7 or 8 or 9% rate of return. And when you start taking RMDs, you're only taking like 3 or 4%, at least in the beginning. Well, then your account is growing. It's not shrinking. So let's do some math to look at how this could play out. Say you retire with $1 million in your traditional IRA, and let's say you're earning 8% a year on that account. Obviously, returns are never going to go straight up or in a flat line, but go with me here. This is an example, right? So here's what happens. Your RMD increases, but so does your account. Even though you're withdrawing tens of thousands of dollars every single year, your account balance still grows. So at age 73, you're paying tax on, let's just say $37,000. Then a few years later, we're taking out $50,000 and our account is now worth $1.2 million. Now let's look at age 83. We have to take out $80,000 from our RMD and our account is worth $1.5 million. It's great. You're feeling secure. However, let's see how and where this causes problems. Let's say Bob here has $1 million IRA at age 73. He's getting about $3,500 a month from Social Security or $42K a year. Let's say he's married to Jane. She's getting about $2,000 a month from Social Security. So a combined $66K a year from the government. That's great. Bob, let's say he starts taking his RMDs of $37,000 in the first year of his retirement from his $1 million portfolio. So now we have $103,000 of taxable income. Social Security is tax first, then the IRA. Now, this is a fairly clean hypothetical scenario, but many people also have pensions, business income stacked on top of this as well. It can get a little messy. So adding RMDs on top of that can just complicate things even more. So by the age of 80, Bob and Jane, their Social Security benefits have grown to nearly $77,000. I am assuming a 2.2% cost of living adjustment to SSI. Remember, we have an account growing at 8% a year, which means after taking RMDs for the last 7 years, we now have an account worth about $1.3 million. So the RMD at age 80 is $64,000. That puts their total income at $141,000. Let's look another 5 years in the future. Say they're 85 now. Their account is now worth just under $1.5 million. And their RMD is about $95K a year. What a jump. So the cool thing about retirement is that we don't have to plan on bringing in less money each year. Certainly, markets can cause trouble, but what if your accounts are growing instead of shrinking? What do we need to think about? Well, the long term result is going to be money left to your heirs, right? You need to have your beneficiaries in place. Obviously, you need to have a will in place. Conversations need to take place about what your wishes are. The more immediate conversation, though, is the tax consequence of rising income taxes. In this example, we're bumping up against the next tax bracket for Bob and Jane, but what if your case is more extreme? Instead of hopping from, say, the 12% bracket to the 24% bracket, what if we're now in the 32% bracket? What if we hop over the threshold where instead of 50% of our Social Security being taxed, we're now having 85% of it being taxed? That is no fun. What if we cross the Medicare threshold? Instead of paying just the normal rate, we're paying an extra 40% more for Medicare premiums. And here's where it starts to sting a little. First, you might land into a higher bracket. Now, it doesn't take much to drift into the 24% bracket to the 32% bracket. If you were a good saver, have big RMDs, and have a really nice Social Security benefit. Now, these thresholds aren't that high. For a married couple, the Medicare threshold, for instance, is just over $200,000 of taxable income. So this is something many people have to plan for. I had someone come to me with a little over $2 million in their IRA, $1 million in a taxable account, and they were about 70 years old. They had Social Security. They were getting business income from the sale of an auto repair franchise. Their income was about $200,000 a year. The business income was going to drop off in about 5 years. I worked with their CPA, and we really couldn't avoid Medicare surcharges. They were looking at RMDs of about $80K in the next few years. And so what did we do? We were very aggressive with Roth conversions, but they still got hit with those Medicare surcharges, higher Social Security tax rates, and higher tax brackets because of the position they were in. So the moral of the story is give yourself time to plan, because once the government starts knocking, you'll lose a lot of that flexibility. Now, the good news is that if this is you, you're not stuck. There are smart and practical steps that you can take to potentially reduce your future tax burden. And you don't have to completely overhaul your entire retirement plan. The first step or opportunity, I'd say, is to make the most of your gap years. These are the years where you retired but aren't collecting Social Security. Or maybe you're collecting Social Security, but you're not yet at that RMD age, right? These can be years where you're in an incredibly low tax bracket compared to where you'll be in the future. And it's a great time to do tax planning, to move some money from traditional IRA accounts to Roth accounts. So you reduce the future RMDs and you get these funds into an account that doesn't have an RMD. Roth accounts don't. You want these Roth accounts because this will allow you to withdraw funds completely tax-free. And like I just said, again, these Roth accounts don't have RMDs. Also, consider brokerage accounts. This gives you unlimited access to your funds, if you're before 59 and a half, and you do have more favorable tax rates here when it comes to long-term capital gains rates. The second opportunity is to start with Roth conversions. If you're not yet 73, you don't have to take your RMD yet. This could be a really golden opportunity to do a Roth conversion because maybe you find yourself in lower income earning years, or you're just in a lower bracket than you will be once you turn on that RMD. This is a great time to convert money when you're in these lower tax brackets. Yes, you're going to pay taxes now, but hopefully you lock that tax in at a lower rate. Then once the money's put into the Roth account, again, it grows completely tax-free. And like I said before, Roth accounts don't have any RMDs. By moving money from your traditional IRA account, you reduce your future RMDs that you would face with those accounts. Now, say you're over 73 and you've got crazy high RMDs. What can you do? Well, first and foremost, you have a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution. You can only do this after you turn age 73, but what you do here is you gift money directly from the IRA to a charity. The money does not go into your bank account, okay? It goes directly from the account to the charity. If you do a QCD, you don't pay tax on that money. The distribution counts toward your RMD. And this is amazing, right? This is one of the most efficient tax moves that you can do after age 73. But on the flip side, inheriting a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k can be a real tax headache, especially for an adult child who happens to be in their 50s and 60s and bumping up against retirement. Let's say your parents pass in their 80s and they leave behind a sizable traditional IRA. On paper, it looks generous. It's amazing, right? You got a bunch of money. But now you have to start withdrawing that money, often within 10 years, and often during your peak earning years, right? You're 50, 60 years old. So those withdrawals are going to stack right on top of your salary, bonuses, equity compensation, other investment incomes. And it may push your kids, you, into a different tax bracket, maybe even a very high tax bracket. Now, let's not harp on this too much because inheriting $1,000,000 is great, but it can derail even the best plans. So, what's the takeaway with all of these? Proactive planning can help you avoid costly headaches, taxes, and fees in retirement. It can also help the next generation avoid those same taxes and fees when they inherit your money. So look at your accounts. Are you heading toward an RMD trap? Will your accounts start kicking out thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes once you reach age 73? Or might you inherit an IRA that forces you into a higher tax bracket? Please shoot me an email if any of these are a part of your case. Would love to answer any questions you might have. This is a newer YouTube channel, so any likes or subscriptions really helps us out. I hope you have a great day.